All right, next question up. So we'll begin with that question sentence as always. And it reads, what is the total time for the round trip? All right, everyone. So right here, what we're trying to figure out is time, and not just time, the total time for a round trip specifically. So again, what is the total time and specifically for the round trip? So what this means, everyone, is that it's possible, and this is actually what's happening in this problem. We are starting at a certain point, and then we go down, and then we come back up to the same point that we started at. So that's what a round trip means. You go somewhere, and then you come back on the same path, typically, unless otherwise specified. So with that, what do we read here? We read that it says a rescue team descends from 7,200 feet down to 3,600 feet. So let's write that down. We have 7,200, and then we have 3,600. Again, that's our elevation. And then we immediately ascend back to 7,200, all the way back up. Perfect. Sounds good. So on the way down, one thing that I noticed is this. I noticed that going down or descending, that's 900 feet per hour. So I'll write down, we're going down again at 900 feet per hour. And then going back up, everyone, what was that rate going up? What was that going to be? Yeah, that's going to be listed right over here at 600 feet per hour right here. So why do those things matter? Why does all of this matter? Well, here's the thing, everyone. If we're trying to determine the total time, we have to figure out how much time this part takes going down, and then how much time this part takes going up. In either case, take a look at the information we have. We are given the rate going down and the rate going back up. So if I'm trying to find the time over here, let's just focus right over here for a moment. If I'm trying to find the time and I have the rate, all I need is the distance. If I had the distance, then I could plug all that in and I can get the time. Everyone, if I subtracted 7,200 minus 3,600, what will that give us? What will that be? Yeah, that's going to be 3,600. It's actually exactly half. So 7,200 minus 3,600, that gives us a distance of 3,600. That's going down and on the way up. So again, how does this help us? Now I can do what I set out to do. I'm going to find the time to go down or descend, and then I'll find the time going up using my distance, rate, time formula. Here we go. In blue, I'll represent going down. So we have the distance being 3,600 equals my rate, which is 900 feet per hour multiplied by time. If I divide both sides by 900, take a look over here. Those zeros are going to cancel out. So goodbye there, goodbye there. And then we have 36 divided by 9, which is going to be 4. So cancels out, and we end up getting, again, T equals 4 hours. We're not done. We're not done yet because we have the 4 hours that it takes us to descend, but how long does it take us to climb back up? Let's find out. So here we'll do it again. Our distance equals rate times time. That's the formula we'll use. The distance that we're covering, we already said it, it's 3,600. Then the rate at which we climb, that would be 600 feet per hour. And then from there, we're going to multiply that by the time period. And that's going to be division by 600 on both sides. Nice and easy on both right there. Cancels on the right. And everyone, 3,600 divided by 600. That's going to leave us with what? Yeah, that'll leave us with 6. So boom, there we are. We have the time frame there equals 6 hours. And there we go. We have 6 hours here. We have 4 hours there. If we wanted the total time, like we said, the total time, that would be 4 hours plus 6 hours. And that's going to give us a total of 10 hours. And the correct answer here, my party people, will be answer choice A. Again, the point of this here was we needed to find the total time, and to do that, we needed to find the individual times first to just add them back up. So we used the distance rate time formula here, and again over here, and then once we found each of the times, we added them up, and there we are. Again, the final answer is 10 hours. Answer choice A. So let's go ahead and try this problem out here. So it says, which of the following is the ratio representing red to blue? All right, my party people. So let's go ahead and just verify that we read that the right way and in the right order. Because remember, when we're writing ratios, the order matters. So everyone, what color is the one that I am going to write down first? Go ahead, confirm that for me. It's going to be red, absolutely. Again, what is the ratio representing red to blue? So we'll have red to blue. All right, so let's go ahead and read what the problem statement says, and let's just go ahead and put the information where it goes. In a supply closet, there are 24 red pencils and 36 blue pencils. All right, so let's go ahead and write those numbers where they belong. Again, the first value is red, and I see here clearly it says 24 red pencils. So I have 24 right here. And then everybody, how many blue pencils are we given again? Yeah, that's going to be 36. Sounds good. All right. So if you're looking at this and you're saying, okay, I have 24 to 36. Those are the numbers that have been given to me. I know that the left one represents red and the right one represents blue. You're absolutely good. You're golden. But we have a little problem here with the answer choices because I don't see 24 or 36 laid out anywhere. So this is where we have to understand how we can work with ratios. My party people, question for you. What is another way, another form that a ratio can be written in? It starts with an F. What is that form that it can be written in? Right on, a fraction. We can write it as a fraction. So 24 to 36, it is the same as 24 over 36. It's the same thing. And so with a fraction, what we can do with this is we can simplify it. So nice and easy, what I'll do is I'll simplify by dividing the value, the highest number that I can think of, that can divide into 24 and 36, which would be what? Yeah, that would be 12. We could use 2, we could use 3, we could use 6, but 12 is the biggest number that can divide out of both 24 and 36. It's the greatest common divisor for those of you who want the actual technical term. So with that, 24 and 36, they are both divisible by 12. So I'll write that on the top and the bottom. And that's going to give me 24 divided by 12 is 2. 36 divided by 12 is 3. So we have that right there, ladies and gentlemen. So let's highlight that. And we can turn this back into the form of a ratio as 2 to 3. Everybody, there we go. One more way that we can take care of this is by looking at this and just dividing out, doing the same thing we did here, just doing it over here. And we can just divide the 12 from 24 and 36. Again, as long as you compare the same things in the same way, you can get to 2 and 3 relatively quickly.